Bandy and Kiki now joins us live. Bandy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Enes.
So, how is Manchester today?
Well, Manchester is very grey and dark today. It's a very bad day today.
Wow. Hopefully, it's going to be better in the next couple of hours. And so, how did you spend Christmas?
Well, I spent Christmas with my housemate, her sister, and the sister's baby, partially in bed, and and part of it was talking to them, making phone calls back home. Yes.
Now, do you actually find time to relax? On a meal, just relax around, or go on a stroll? And I'm going to tell you why I asked that question.
Oh, yes, I do find time to relax. I read a lot. I love to read, and I go out as well on meals with my friends. Sometimes I go partying as well. So I do find time to relax.
I asked the question because for the past 6 months, 24 on 24, every blessed day, there is activity going on Kinaka blog.
Well, that's because I go out with my phone and I'm always on the phone. I'm that bad friend that's always on the phone, unfortunately.
Right. And apparently, this has been an exciting experience this far. And so we brought you on the airwaves of Apex One Radio today to tell us just what is going on with this thing that is already becoming a sensation. And for the first few months, as per your own perception, how has Kinaka Block been faring?
It's been really brilliant, to be honest. It's been better than I expected. And the viewers have been very good. And the community, the African community, has been very kind to me.
Wow. That's interesting. So tell us, what are the kind of stories you have had on the blog so far in these 6 months? What are the kind of stories you've published?
Well, there's everything and anything on the blog, human interest stories, things I think people will be interested in or can relate to. I put them on the blog. So there's just basically a very huge diversity of stories on the blog, human interest stories.
Huge diversity of stories on Kinaka blog is what characterizes that great online platform, which has become a sensation within the first 6 months of its existence. And we're talking to its founder, Bandy Kiki, live from Manchester. Now, amongst these, which ones do you think readers or visitors to the blog have shown more interest to?
I would say my readers or my blog visitors are very much interested in celeb gossip. They love that. I get quite a huge amount of views when I do a story like that. Gossip, celeb gossip, what this person is up to, what Stanley Eno is up to, what Jovi is up to. I get a lot of views when I do that. So I would say celeb gossip, yeah.
Why do you think people get so interested in the celeb gossips?
I think because part of them want to relate with these people on another level, not just with the music. They want to know them as a person, When somebody touches you with their music, you want to know them better. It's not just about their music. You want to get to know something about them, something that you can also relate to, something that is different from the music, which is what I bring to the blog or what I present to my readers.
That's interesting. Quantity-wise, would you say Kinaka has been very rich so far?
Yes, I would say that, yes. If I have to say that myself, yeah, if I can say so myself. Yeah.
And could you just remind us of the source of the stories you blog?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Enes, it's professionally unethical to release my sources or to tell people my sources. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Okay, that is understood. That is understood. But then, what determines the kind of stories that go on Kinaka blog?
Well, I listen to my readers. look at the data, the back part of the blog, where you have what people have viewed, how many people viewed this particular story.
Okay.
I tend to look at that and which determines the next story, because if people are interested in Jovi, or if they're interested per se in Miss Cameroon, or they're interested in the president of the country, or they're interested in Kim Kardashian's ass, unfortunately, people do find that interesting. And well, yes, then I would blog about that. But, I just listen to my readers. Anyways, yeah.
And could you explain how the process works? Why would some stories only get relayed without comments? And why would some take comments from other bloggers?
I'm not very sure I understand that question 100%. Can you rephrase that question, please?
Yes. What I was trying to say is, why do some of your stories only get relayed without comments? And why would some other stories kind of, comments from you? Like at times you just pick up a story and you blog it without writing anything. At times, you get a story from somewhere, then you make your own little comments. So, which is which? And when do you comment on a story, and when, just when you don't do that?
Well, I am a woman with a lot of opinion, and I have been told in the past to hold back my opinions, to be very neutral on the way I write those stories. But sometimes I can't help myself. So I put my comments out there, or my thoughts per se, and sometimes people really enjoy that. Like it brings a certain way of uniqueness to Kinaka's blog, because what does Kiki think about this? It's particular to me, and which is not common in other blogs per se. Like any other blogger would write one other thing, but me, it personalizes the blog. It gives a blog a certain sort of vibe.
Yes. In what occasion would you decide to initiate the story without necessarily relaying it from another site or another post?
Well, when I am quoting somebody, if let's say if Benzil, I love his music by the way, if he said something and I'm quoting what he said, probably on social media, I don't have to go to him. I don't have to listen to any other person. I just quote what he said. Then sometimes if I'm doing a story, if somebody comes to me and says, this is what happened, the horse's mouth, I would do that. But then again, you have to be very careful, because celebrities have a way of elaborating the truth. You understand? So you have to be very careful what they tell you and what they're not telling you. So that's how I do my stories, or relay my stories.
Right. So now, 6 months on, what have people been telling you personally?
Well, they have been telling me they want to marry me. No. On a serious note, on a serious note, I've had a lot of support messages and emails from people around the world, telling me they love what I do. It's different. We love the energy you have, and so on. But then people who can't really tell you the truth, which is a bit like a negative truth, they would go on the blog, activate themselves as anonymous, and leave the comments there, which I find very interesting, by the way. Hi, my anonymous listening.
Now, we have several kinds of readers or visitors to a blog. It could be by age bracket, it could be by nationality. It could be even by various domains of life and so on. So who do you think visit Kinaka blog most, and why do you think they do so?
Well, geographically, I would say people from the US and Cameroon visit the blog more.
Okay.
Based on the data I see. But then when my story got featured on Nairaland, which is one of Africa's biggest forum, and when an American YouTuber referenced my story, which was about a woman saying Michael Jackson's ghost got her pregnant, So it sort of like gave me a wide range of people, of nationalities viewing it, because Nairaland is mostly about Nigeria. So it gave me like a wider range of people reading it. And I think there are much more people than I think, there's much more diversity in nationality than I think, And with the age group, I'm not too sure about the age group because it doesn't say at the back. It only says where the viewer comes from, which is mostly from the US, from Cameroon. I've got Nigerian viewers, I've got Kenyan, I've got South African. It's just everywhere around the world.
Okay, we have come across people picking on you sometimes, and at times these are anonymous commentators. And also, we have had people getting frustrated about something you wrote or something you blogged and venting their anger in the process. What would push them to get to this level? We have also seen you commenting on some of these comments and even getting really frustrated and angry as well. So why would all of this happen?
Well, I would refuse. I would refuse to say I am angry. I would refuse that part.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes I have to clarify people on what I wrote. And I only do that. I repeat, I only do that on my private Facebook page. Okay. I never ever do that on the blog side or on any other page I have, or on Google Plus, or on Twitter. I don't do that on anywhere except my private Facebook page. I clarify people. Sometimes they ask questions which are directed to me and they tag me on it. I have to answer. And these people, before blogging, are my friends. So they can't just ask me something. It's a bit difficult to just, look the other way when they ask you something. Yes, sometimes I get frustrated. It's normal. I'm a woman. We get hormonal. You understand?
Right.
So that's a fun excuse. Yeah, but yes, I'm human. I can get frustrated at times, but I try not to. I told myself from the beginning, this is not about me. This blog is not about me. People getting angry is not about me. Sometimes people are frustrated in whatever thing they're doing in life, and they come to the blog and they read something and it frustrates them more. And they put a huge rant or comment there, cursing the blogger. No, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm happy to entertain, and I'm happy to have something where people can fall back to and have like some sort of self-counseling.
Right.
Yeah.
The Manchester United Kingdom-based Cameroonian founder of Kinaka Blog, speaking live on Apex One Radio, and of course dissecting the secret behind this great initiative that has become a sensation in just 6 months of its existence. Her name is Bandy Kiki. Now, Bandy, let me find out this from you. It's a related question. Has there been any instance where someone picks on you for relaying their story, perhaps doing that privately in your inbox, or texting you and saying that I was not happy with that story, and attacking you in a way?
Well, unfortunately, it comes with the territory, and yes, I have had a lot of that, to be honest. And most of them are celebrities because they put something out there on social media. You understand? Something that's not really thought through. And then when it gets to Kinaka's blog and the Anonymous, I love you, Anonymous. When they activate themselves, they start rethinking their steps or start rethinking what they put out there.
Okay.
And they have to look for somebody to blame, which is always me. So it's okay. It's okay to blame me, but you did put that yourself out there. Also, I had an incident with another blogger who insinuated that I stole, in quotes, a story from her. How can you steal a story that's everywhere on Facebook and you're not the original source? How is that possible? No. So in a way, I try to ignore these people. It's not about me. It's not about them. It's about entertainment in Cameroon and the world at large. It's bigger than us all. You can't come and try to stop me from blogging, or I can't stop you from what you do, but if we understand each other, it'll be better. But if we don't, I'm sorry.
Okay, she says it's not about her, it's not about Kinaka, it's not about whosoever. It's about the world as a whole, and it's about entertainment. Her name is Blandine Kiki. She is the founder of Kinaka Blog. And of course, you're listening to African Fiesta number 29, coming to you from Apex One Radio. And so, Bandy, we went searching for people who have become, so attached to this blog, and our search landed us on two of your fans. One of them lives in Stockholm, Sweden, and the other one in London, UK. We begin with Alexis Asamoah. She is Ghanaian, and she had this story to tell about Kinaka Blog. So don't go away, just listen, because you'll be saying something about that thereafter. The world.
Okay, thank you very much.
Whether you are in Europe, Asia, America, or Africa, you can be spotted and highlighted on Apex One Radio. Then you'll be at the top, because on Apex One Radio, we stay at the top. Okay, this is African Fiesta number 29, coming to you from Apex One Radio. We are going to London, where we are meeting one of the regular visitors of the Kinaka blog. Her name is Alexis Asamoah. And from London, she now joins us. Alexis, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm fine, we thank God. So how is London?
Oh, it's okay. Can't complain.
Right. Okay, like I said earlier, you are one of the regular visitors to the Kinaka blog, and we brought you on the airwaves so that you could appreciate this initiative. So, when did you start visiting Kinaka blog?
Okay, I started about 5 months ago.
That is about the time the blog was created.
Yes.
So how did you come across it?
Okay, I came across it on internet, on Instagram.
On Instagram?
Her page on Instagram followed my account on Instagram, so I was wondering what it was.
Okay.
Then, I clicked on and checked out the page and saw that I was a blogger.
Right.
Then I decided to just find out what it was.
Okay.
So it was through Instagram that I noticed her blog.
Right. And so when you got there, you were fascinated with what you saw.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. But how often do you visit the blog?
Anytime I'm free, I just check if she posted something new, because from the onset, I realized she's been posting interesting stuff.
Okay.
Especially me being from another country. So I wanted to just find, anytime I'm free, since I have a smartphone, I just log on there when I'm bored.
Right.
So most often, yeah.
And so you've been a regular on this blog for 5 months now. Each time you go there, what specifically do you want to see on the Kinaka blog? Why do you go there? What do you go there to look for?
Okay, I'm someone that likes to research a lot about certain things, not just in relation to me or relevant to me. I just like to look at everything in a whole.
Right.
So when I go there, I just want to go and read about information that I know nothing about, so that I can get myself informed and updated. So it's not really just one specific thing.
Right.
And fortunately, she blogs about every other thing, so it makes it a bit entertaining. Yeah.
And so there should definitely be some story she has blogged that caught your attention. Could you share that with us? And why did this story attract you?
Oh, well, it wasn't just one story.
Okay.
It's been a lot of stories that she's been posting here. So I can't specifically name just one particular one, because all the ones that she's been posting are quite interesting. And yeah, there are moral lessons out of it, and especially things that happen in Cameroon. But the one thing that always attracts me to her blog is she's not just focused on her country. She talks about every other country,
Right.
be it the Westernized, African. Even she's got Ghanaian stories on there.
Okay. Is that
So yeah,
is that what you would consider as one of the strengths of Kinaka blog?
yes, one of the main strengths here of
Okay.
her blog.
And apart from that, what else do you think makes that blog attractive?
Pardon?
What else do you think make the blog attractive?
It's very informative and also it's all round.
Okay.
If you get what I mean, coming from a girl's perspective, you know, girls are inquisitive, so we would like to know what's going on in the lives of celebrities,
Right.
what's happening in other countries. So it's more about the gossip here and there, the beauty aspect, the fashion aspect, the ongoing things that's happening every day.
Right.
That's what seriously attracts me to the blog.
Now, there are scores of those blogs out there which people visit, and a lot of them are quite popular nowadays. But if you were to assess Kinaka blog on a general spectrum, how would you say, what would you say this blog is? I mean, how would you assess it? How would you evaluate what the blog is doing?
When you say evaluation, as compared to other bloggers, is that what you're saying?
Perhaps compared to other blogs, or generally, how would you assess its performance? Do you think that this blog is or falls among the frontline African blogs which you would find nowadays?
Sorry, I can't even hear that.
Yes, I was trying to find out if you were to assess the performance of Kinaka blog, would you say that it can now be categorized as one of the frontline African blogs?
Yes, I think so, yeah. It can.
Okay, and if you were, as a fervent reader of Kinaka blog, advise its founder and whosoever is working for that blog, what would you be telling them?
Okay, I'll tell them that they should. Anyway, they are doing a good job, to be honest. And I'd just like to advise them on exploring more on other African countries.
Okay.
Because it looks like Cameroon is about 80% of the block.
Okay.
So she should at least, because I think she's getting a lot of readers as well, she must as well just talk about a lot of African countries so that people get a lot of insights about other countries. And, yeah, she should just, they should keep doing the good work. I think they are on the right course.
Okay, they are on the right track. Her name is Alexis Asamoah, Ghanaian reader of Kinaka blog. So thank you so much for talking to us and expressing your views on this great initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me as well. And I wish her all the best. And she's the youth especially are looking up at her blog. So she has to just give us more educative and entertaining stuff and also attract the older ones as well.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexis. And do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in London.
Okay.
And so you just listened there to one of your very faithful readers and visitors to the blog.
Yeah.
And she was telling us the story of her relationship with Kinaka. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think I do agree with her that I have to be much more diverse. I can't limit myself. She said, at the end of it, she said, I should be much more diverse and should do stories about other African countries so that people can have more insight in what goes on in other countries.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true. But unfortunately, since the blog is predominantly Cameroonian, Cameroonians don't like things from other countries like that. Okay. You know, they're not hungry about knowledge, which to me, it would explain why we are at this point. Because sometimes when you see the way things are done in other countries, you can do them as well or implement them as well when you're doing your next thing in your own country. So,
right.
But yes, for my other viewers, like my other viewers from other nationalities, I would do other stories. I would try to bring more insight from other countries on the blog platform.
I was just going to say that given that you have people from other nationalities getting interested in what you are doing, you should definitely look at ways of satisfying their desires as well. And given that you live out of Cameroon, once you've left your country, you become international. So are you thinking of getting this blog really, really international in terms of its content?
Yes, that's my aim in this coming year, 2016, is to get a much more diverse blog, somewhere where everybody can relate, and not just Cameroonians or Nigerians, because I do a lot of Nigerian content as well, which would explain because Nigeria is one of Africa, is the best in entertainment so far in Africa. So it explains that. So I would try to involve much more Ghanaian, Kenyan, Ugandan, Zimbabwe, and other countries as well. I would try to involve that.
Okay.
Come 2016, yeah.
Now, I would like you to get in the place of an ordinary reader or visitor to this blog and assess it from that point of view. What impact it has created this past 6 months?
Well, I because it's my blog and I know what goes on at the background, I can't be a viewer. I can't be in a viewer's shoes because of that prior knowledge to what goes on. But then, yes, if I was a viewer, I would, if I know this is it's not modest to say, but I'll be intrigued by how far this journey or this blog, it just started 6 months ago and it's become like, it's been talked about everywhere.
Right.
You know, I would be intrigued by that. I would want to know. I would want to get involved or get on the platform myself because that's the sort of person I am. I like things that create a huge impact, and I think Kinaka's blog has been creating an impact, you know, in a very short while.
It's been established that Kinaka blog has created this impact within this short while. Now you are behind the machine. Tell us, what is the secret?
I would say my hard work. I work hard, Mr. Ennis. I really work hard for this thing. I put everything in me in it. And I think people have realized I'm so hungry for this to get successful that they're getting on the same platform with me. I mean, when I started, a close friend of mine said, "Oh, that blog, you know, now it's that." You understand? And I felt quite very hurt. But then you can't blame people. Even your own mother at some point would doubt you in life. But you have to keep the push. I'm talking to young people out there. If you're listening, whatever you're doing, you have to convince people you want it so bad for them to believe in it. You don't expect people to just believe in anything you come up with. No, you have to convince them and you have to work hard towards it. Don't let anybody push you off your path. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. You can do it. You understand? Don't let any lazy ass, but don't let anybody tell you can't do it because they can't do it themselves. So I'm talking to every young person or every person in whatever thing they're doing right now. You can do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Motivational there from the founder of Kinaka blog. Don't let anybody stand on your path as far as your dreams are concerned. And before Kinaka blog came into existence, blogging had already been going on. Do you think you have brought in something new within this sector?
Yes, I would say I've brought in something new. I mean, we're very current, we're very simple. I use quite very simple English language, which is not a thing in most Cameroonian blogs, especially in political blogs. They use very archaic language and very difficult to understand language, which the youth tend to think is something for the old people. So I think we're very current, we're simple, and we're relatable. You can relate to us at any time. So I think, in a way, Kinaka's blog has brought in something different to the sector.
So, generally speaking, how have you found the experience running this blog? Is it something you sit back at one point and said, I really didn't have to get into this venture? Or you feel like you're getting tired or so, or you have more energy to keep it on?
Well, to be honest with you, if I would lie if I say that there are not days when I get up and I said, why did I do this? You know, or days I'll go to bed thinking, why did I get myself into this? I do that a lot. And the dream, the purpose is to get up every morning with the same enthusiasm as the one you started with, you understand? So I get up every morning when I'm ill sometimes. I tell myself, I have to do this, Kiki. You can't fail. You're failing yourself. You're failing your belief, you know, of hard work. So I do that a lot. And secondly, I'm very interested in the complexity of the human mind and how it works, how it digests information. And I think, well, that's the biological part of me talking. And I think the blog gives me like a platform, a rich platform to look into people's minds, writing stories about them, seeing how people comment on a particular story. Is a very rich field for me, which it's like a hobby. People around my inner circle would tell you that I like to peek into people's minds. So I think with that, it's giving me like a push to go on with the blog, apart from loving the whole African entertainment scene.
The founder of Kinaka blog, sounding really philosophical yet realistic. She's speaking live on African Fiesta. So, prior to kicking off with this project, did you expect this great feedback you're having today?
Yes, I expected it. If I told myself, I had a conversation with myself. And I said, if I worked hard enough, it might get where I wanted it to be. But I am totally, totally shocked at how fast people have taken into it. And I'm so humbled, and I get really emotional sometimes. And I ask myself, why me? Why do they like the blog so much? Why do they come here to read these stories, you know? But then again, I work hard. So I expected it, but not this fast.
So, what does this current stand of Kinaka mean to you as its founder and to the blog?
Well, to be honest with you, Mr. Endeskanjo, it means a lot. It's a lot of pressure on me now, you know, especially after the award, you know, coming so fast. It means a lot of pressure for me, but I'm ready. I would like to say I'm ready, and also, I have to reduce the way I comment on Facebook on my private page.
Okay.
Because some people who are on there are KB readers, and they can't separate the fact that I am also a human being. Everything I put on there is not about the blog. Mm-hmm. So it's really impacted me as a founder and as a publisher of that blog. Like, I can't put just everything out there, because anything I say, people think is related to the blog, but it's not always related to the blog. I have a private life out of the blog. You understand? So I think I have to reduce that, what I put on Facebook, you know, and as I said, much pressure for me, especially after the award. I have to make sure if this is one of Cameroon's best, it should be able to compete internationally, not just in Cameroon. So I have to represent as well.
We're speaking to the 2015 Best Blogger of the Year as per the Cameroon Elegant Entertainment Awards that held recently in Douala, Cameroon. Bandy, briefly, how did you feel after you were pronounced Best Cameroonian Blogger this year by Camea?
I was shocked. When unfortunately I didn't have anybody in there, because when my friend went in there and to represent me, and she went back home because it started late, and she said she was working she had to go to work the next day, so she couldn't stay in. So unfortunately, I didn't have anybody in, and my friend on Facebook, not really my friend in real life, because I don't know this guy per se. He said, you've just been pronounced the winner, and I'm like, are you sure? And he said yes, and I'm like, no, I can't tell anybody yet, considering what happened with the Miss World and Stevie Harvey confusion. Yes. So I was like, okay, let me wait for people to confirm. And then I saw a tweet from Joanna, I don't know her other name.
Ngumba?
Sorry. It's Ngumba, yes, yes, her. And she's a media personality in Nigeria, very good in what she does, by the way. And it said Kinaka's blog is the best entertainment blog 2015. Oh my God. Went out into the living room, I told my flatmate about it, and we're all happy. It was a good feeling, but I was shocked initially.
Right. Now, tell us briefly, what is your rapport with other blogs and bloggers?
In the main, we get along professionally.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges you face, apart from some people not liking what you blog?
Well, as I said before, one of my challenges is editing. Okay. I'm a very, very bad editor, very, very bad. I'm sure a lot of people who read the blog would tell you that sometimes. But fortunately for me, I have a Guy Thomas helping me now and again in editing. He's quite very good with languages. So he helps me now and again. And I also have time. Time is a very big issue because the blog takes a lot of time.
Right.
So I'm facing that two of those things, editing and time. It's a big issue.
Okay.
But as I said, Gay Thomas, it's been very helpful.
Apart from him, from whom other have you had some remarkable support?
Well, I have had a lot of support from a lot of people, and if I start calling names now, I'll get myself into trouble because people will be like, "Why didn't you call my name, Kiki?"
Right.
So I'm just going to say a big, big thank you to my friend Colleen for believing in me the very first night this blog went operational. She told me I would do it, and I'm actually doing it, and I needed that voice to tell me I can do it. And Gay Thomas as well, I would like to say thank you very much. Sometimes he has to edit quite a lot of junk for me. So I would like to say thank you to him and to my housemate as well. She has to listen to me blab about the blog all the time, probably an anonymous comment or the next story I want to put or whatever. She's very good. Asamoah Efwa, she's very good. She's been very helpful on that front. And to my inner circle of friends, I'm sorry. I have to bring my phone out all the time when we're out.
Right.
I have to talk to you sometimes and bring the blog in randomly. Sorry about that. But thank you very much for being a huge source of support to me. Thank you.
Right. Bandy, I spoke earlier on with Queenie Sona. She is a fervent reader of Kinaka blog, and she tells me that she sleeps on it. So I would like us to listen to it for just a few minutes. Then when we come back, I would just like you to say bye-bye to the rest of your fans out there. The world.
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much.
Whether you are in Europe, Asia, America, or Africa, you can be spotted and highlighted on Apex One Radio. Then you'll be at the top because on Apex One Radio, we stay at the top. Okay, this is Apex One Radio, and of course, you're listening to African Fiesta number 29. And so, Quinta Sonne is one of the regular visitors to Kinaka blog, and she will be telling us about her experience, and she'll be assessing this great online initiative. Okay, she'll be speaking from Sweden, and from Stockholm, she now joins us. Quinta, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
So how is Stockholm today?
Well, it's already winter, so everywhere is white and very, very cold, I must say. But then, hey, I think one just has to get used to it. It's a cold weather.
Definitely.
Yep.
And I know that one of the things that keeps you warm is Kinaka Block. Am I right?
Oh, very sure. That's it.
Okay, so like I said earlier on, you are one of the regular visitors to this blog, and you've definitely been doing that for quite some time now. But I'd like you to confirm, when did you start visiting Kinaka blog?
Well, I stumbled on Kiki's blog sometime around September. By then, she was just a month old.
Okay.
I actually saw a post on my Instagram.
Okay.
Somebody copied a post from her wall. She was speaking about some moral values to women
Okay.
under her opinion slots, and then I saw it on this page, so I really liked it. So when I commented, and I was asking the guy that, please, we need more of such. And then, luckily for me, or let me say, fortunately for me, Kinaka came and replied and said, please, Queenie, you can go to the blog and you get more of such stories.
Okay.
And searching under Google, I typed Kinaka blog and boom, I was there. So that's how my journey into Kinaka's blog started, sometime around mid-September, to be precise.
And so since then, you've been a regular visitor to the blog.
Yeah, I've been so regular. So regular. Not only regular, I think if I'm not working, if I said the hours that I'm working, if not, in fact, my computer screen has the blog very open at 24 on 24.
Okay. That's interesting. And so, each time you go to Kinaka, what are you going there to look for?
Well, I'm interested in the stories that she puts up every day. She puts up very beautiful posts. I mean, she updates us on latest happenings concerning celebrities, concerning the world news, fashion, and she deals with a lot of things. I think she is so versatile, so it really caught my attention. And then I have a several slides on the opinions, talking about opinions, maybe talking about a story where they need people's opinions. And being one of those who usually likes to comment under the blog and using my real ID, sometimes it's so interesting to see people commenting under anonymous and giving their views, and then having a follow-up of the comments. Everything. It's just beautiful.
That is an interesting twist there. You comment using your real identity while others do that anonymously. Why do you prefer to use your real identity and not go anonymous like others would prefer?
Let me say I'm just real. Yes, I like to be real. I like to give my opinion. I like to be accountable for whatever I put out there. Okay. That's just me. I don't want to be a coward going under anonymous, maybe to give an opinion which does not reflect me, maybe in the hopes of causing problems or stirring up troubles here or there. No, I won't do that. I always go with the real me. So if you want to identify that this person wrote this, that it should be accountable to a name, this particular person. And luckily, that's the same name I use on Facebook. So if you want to search me, then maybe this person said this. You might have the opportunity of going further to check who is this person. Right. I mean, yeah.
And what kind of stories would you normally comment to?
Okay, I think firstly, I like the entertainment stories, especially dealing with our Cameroonian celebrities, owing to the fact that we have a fast rising entertainment industry in Cameroon, especially the Anglophone section. Okay. So I'm really interested on how to see how they are growing, and then based on my knowledge from other blogs, because like the last 6 to 7 years, I've been on blogs from other countries. I've not really seen a Cameroonian blog that really caught my attention. Sorry to say to all of the other bloggers, I don't think they have been putting enough job into it. when I look at Kinaka blog, by October, it was just about 3 or 4 months old. And then looking at how fast she has come up, and Cameroonians are gradually getting into the blogging culture. I mean, like commenting and the rest. It really gave me joy because my last year I've spent them on Nigerian blogs, Ghanaian blogs, and so reading their stories, being active. I've been actively commenting on those blogs. So I was really, each time I used to ask myself, sometimes I was really planning to come up with a blog, but then looking at my school program and work program, I told myself, no, I don't think I'm ready. I'm one of those persons who believe that anything worth doing is worth doing well. So I think it was not just time for me. So I think she's doing that thing that I saw lacking in our Cameroonian blogs. I've been reading quite a lot of them during the last years, especially this 2015. But then during the last quarter of it, she just came up from nowhere, and should be told, she has done a lot. She has brought out the blogging culture. I think most other blogs, Cameroonians have discovered most other blogs thanks to her.
Okay, we're speaking to Quinta Sonne, a fervent reader of Kinaka blog, and she resides in Stockholm, Sweden. Quinta says she would normally comment on stories that have to do on entertainment, specifically the Cameroonian entertainment sector. So, Quinta, do you have some of these stories which you think were very striking, and what attracted you to those stories, if you could cite a few?
Okay, let me see. Like, especially our Cameroonian musicians, the young artists who are coming up, most times we get the opportunity, or let me say, not opportunity, we get the privilege of knowing some of these upcoming artists and even their new singles, which is not easily out there. By the time they come out from the blogs, and then I think that's a way of promoting them and putting them out there. But let me say, during the course of this year, 2015, let's say the last quarter of this year, we have had so much stories about Jovi, we have had so much stories about Stanley, we have had so much stories, maybe Gasha, and Askia, many of them. I think I never knew anything about person entertainment. The other.
Right.
Thanks to Kinaka blog, being the cause of his story in Banga, and one of the one things that the Banga did, I got to know about Cref Entertainment, and I like them on Facebook. Now, most of the updates that they give, I'm lucky to have them and see how much work these girls are putting in. So those are the types of things that really catches my interest, and I like such. I like that most of my Cameroonian brothers and sisters are really putting a lot of efforts to bring forth our entertainment industry, and it's good.
Right.
Something beautiful. I think we are getting there.
So briefly, how would you assess Kinaka blog in the midst of so many other blogs that are existing?
Okay, let me see. Assessing Kinaka's blog. I think Kinaka has put in so much commitment into making the blog what it is today. It's just a few months into it. Sometimes I look at it, looking at all the blogs that I've read. Let me see. I've been on Linda Ikeji's blog for like 6 years. I've been on Stella Dimoko's blog for like 5 years. Actually, when I started reading the Ikeji's blog, I never knew how to create a blog ID. Then on Stella's blog, she did a post to direct people how to create a blog ID. So most times I always comment and tell her that it's through your blog that I even learned how to create a blog ID under Google. And I think for me, I've really learned a lot. Then sometimes during this year, I think it was around March, I stumbled over one Cameroonian blog. I think it was a Moiti Akonja, and I learned she's a journalist. Well, I used to read posts from the blog, but then it takes a lot of time. Sometimes you could stay for 2 weeks without any new story there. Then it gets boring. owing to the fact that everywhere you open like a youth blog, you open sellers blog from Nigeria and others that are with Bella, Nigeria and the rest, they have an update of at least 20 stories every day. I'm not saying everybody who's upcoming should be able to have that strength to bring up 20 stories, but at least some 2 new stories around the world. I think blogging is a new thing out there. So getting stories from, there are some readers who will not have the opportunity of getting into the other blogs that I go through, but then if you can update them with our own blogs, then I think it would be such a good thing. So I think she has put in so much effort. Really, she's growing. She just started. She's growing. So basically, she has done a lot already to where she is today.
Do you think there is anything that can be done to improve on what she's doing already?
Well, I think everyone needs to take baby steps and just go. There's no need to do challenges. What you do is that you learn from the other things, and I like the way she's taking it. I think I would like to describe her energy on the blog. First, she's dedicated, she's committed, she's persistent in what she's doing. She's very consistent. I mean, she puts in a lot of energy already into what she's doing. And I just want her to keep up. I mean, keep that energy coming. Keep up with the stories. The anonymous comments and everything that is coming there, just keep them up. I mean, we need to grow. Cameroonians need to get into the blogging culture, either by reading or by creating blogs. There's no problem with us having up to 30 or 40 blogs. I think we can do that. So everybody learn. We have the opportunity of learning every day. I think she should also put in time to read different blogs. I mean, some of the blogs that I've already mentioned before, she can put in time, read them, see the creative stories that those people put up, and maybe bring up her own stories or bring up different slots on the blog, which will make it more interesting and more interactive, because much interaction is also needed to make these blogs grow.
Much interaction is needed to make this blog grow. Her name is Quinta Sonne, speaking live from Stockholm, Sweden. Quinta, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best. Do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Sweden.
Thank you. The pleasure has been mine. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, just listen there to Quinta Sonne, a Cameroonian living in Stockholm, Sweden, whom we fished to tell us about her relationship with Kinaka blog. Let us go back to Manchester and run off with our special guest in this edition of African Fiesta, Bandy, Kiki, the founder of the blog that has become a sensation. Bandy, once again, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ennis. Thank you.
So you just listened there to a Cameroonian by name Quinta Sonne. She says she's a fervent reader of Kinaka. What do you think about what she said?
Well, when she said about the Cameroonians getting into the commenting culture or blogging culture or reading blogs culture, she was right. It's a new thing in Cameroon, and what she did say, which I would say because I'm in the sector, it's this. Cameroonians are not using these blog platforms the way they should be used. For example, people have small businesses, you can run them on these places. People have singles that brought out, people have movies, you know. I have a lot of viewers, I have 10,000 viewers a day, you know, these days. So if you can use that, you know, show your craft and make good use of these platforms and show your craft and show your business or your brand or whatever. It's a good platform. But as you said, Nigerians already have the They're already into it. They know how it works. They know how they know how everything works already. So they have that culture already. And as I said, Cameroonians need to get into that, and they're really getting into that.
Okay, Blandine, they're urging Cameroonian artists to show their craft via such platforms. So, as we run off this interview, Blandine, what do you have in store for your audience in 2016?
Well, I have a very, very huge surprise that would surprise many people in 2016. And to be honest, I'm a bit worried about the reception of this surprise because my inner circle of friends have already told me that Africa is not ready for this sort of thing yet, in quotes. So I'm a bit worried, but I have a big surprise for the blog and for me as well as a person. So,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're waiting for that surprise and looking forward to having it. I know that people like surprises. So, as we go, what last word would you have for your fans and, of course, potential ones?
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for choosing Kinaka's blog or for adding Kinaka's blog to your blog, read, or whatever you do. But I just want to say thank you very much. I'm so touched and I'm humbled and I get emotional about your comments. Not the bad ones though, no, the nice comments. I get really emotional about that. Thank you very much for your support. I'm really, really grateful. And I hope I can see you guys next year come 2016. And happy New Year, especially to my anonymous. You do make me happy.
Blandine, we want to thank you so much for accepting this interview and telling us just how this thing has been working. Thank you once again, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for giving me my first interview ever in Cameroon. Thank you very much. Okay. I've been very industrious in my growth.
Okay, let's thank God for everything. And Blandine, do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Manchester, United Kingdom. You are the founder of Kinaka blog that has become one of Africa's biggest sensations. Of course, we hope that people are only going to make very good use of these blogs so that they actually contribute to the development of our society. Let's have just a bit of music, then we head for South Africa, where Solomon Amabo, who is also getting into blogging,